Welcome, everybody. Excited you could all be here for this exciting webinar. This is actually a re-record because the live webinar recording didn't work out well. This is a special webinar. This is for all of you that are in the middle of inventing products, especially first timers, and you are clueless as to the process and how it's done. And we have with us a eminently qualified instructor today. That's my brother Shneur Wurdy, who is he's a not just certified. It's not the right word. He went to college and he has a degree as a product engineer. This is what he was trained to do. And not only he's not a fresh graduate, he's been in the field for many years, and he's going to share with you from his knowledge and his experience. Before we jump in, just like to remind everybody, we have our monthly webinars that run live every single month, and you could always check out which topics are of your interest. CHYE is a nonprofit that is here to support entrepreneurs from the community on their journey to lasting success. Our current budget is $425,000, and it's made possible through the generosity of many fine people that will enable us to do our work at low cost and no cost. And looking forward to being in touch with you on your entrepreneur journey. Without further ado, I pass the floor on to you, Shneur. Go for it.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Shua, my oldest brother. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to go through this presentation that we gave last week. And if you guys do have any questions further on the development or about the presentation, feel free to reach out to me and ask anything that you would like to. Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Full screen slideshow. Very cool. So the title for this presentation is "If you have a good product idea, now what?" It's a lot of the time I get approached with those questions, and today's presentation aims to give you a better understanding on how to bring that product idea to market, what you should look out for, what can be costly mistakes, and preliminary processes even before you want to put pen to paper on this concept. Today's presentation will walk you through kind of the development process, but before I get into that process, I want to give you a brief overview of design thinking, which is not just used in the design field, but it's also used in businesses as strategic planning pre-implementation. So I do want to start with that. So what is design thinking? Design thinking is a human-centered, iterative problem-solving process. It's used in design and business, like we said before, and it's broken down to 5 core elements or steps, which include empathy, define, ideation, prototyping, and testing. This process is meant to give you a good basis in research and understanding in the category of the problem you're trying to solve. It's helping you define that problem very distinctly, which again keeps your development process in line. Then comes the ideation, which is putting together the ideas on how this thing or process or system can work. And then there's going prototyping, which is physically testing this or wireframing this or whatever prototyping might mean in that specific category. And then there's testing and implementation, which is getting feedback from your target audience or market, and then going into launch and production. Okay, so I'm going to run through our process at DBS through the product design and engineering lens. Generally, what we use is design thinking through the creative lens, which aligns with design and the business goals of our prospective clients. Again, this can be you or this can be anybody else in that process. Okay, so our roadmap, generally the roadmap in product design and development is broken down into 7 phases. The first phase would be the research and opportunity, the concept design phase, the design development phase, the prototyping phase, and then the design for manufacturing phase. Then we have the manufacturing samples, and then we ultimately have production and launch. A lot of this process is a little bit circular, right? So sometimes you go into concept and development, and then realize that you might want to hit the paper or concept design again a little bit more on, on exploration. Generally, I think that actually may be a little bit more in the development and prototyping phase, because we do learn, you do learn a lot in prototyping phase when you're actually being able to hold on to that product. And then, before manufacturing, design for manufacturing is always kind of implemented into the design and development, right? You're thinking about what manufacturing processes and technologies you will need to implement into eventually having your product be designed the most efficiently and cost-effective way as possible. So I'll break down these phases moving forward. Do not underestimate the research and opportunity phase. Our approach, I'm just throwing this in there, is analyzing the market trends, studying competitors, understanding consumer behaviors to identify the gaps in the emerging market. Right, generally, this is where your spark of the idea comes from. It's like, hey, I've been doing this and this, and I realized that there could be a product that would really help solve this problem that I'm having right now. Right? Is it a spatial issue? Is it a function issue? Is it a complete gap in the market where one thing would actually solve this incredible problem? That's the $1 million idea, right? So the research and implementation part of this is extremely important, both on what is the end goal for the product, what is the market size, the market segmentation, right? How much money is being spent in that specific market year over year by your market, by your target audience. I think it's very important to understand your competitive landscape in that space. What are other people doing in that space that are solving that problem? Maybe that problem's not being solved well by the competitors, and there's your opportunity to develop something better. Trend analysis. Again, there's a lot of research techniques you can look into that will help you be very definitive with the product you want to bring to market and know that this is something that will work out for you in the end.
So if
yes.
I could just interrupt you. So again, for all of you that are watching, this is very important. I know a lot of people, they already have the idea that they want to create. It's there. They feel, it's in their head and they're excited about it. You really have to take a step back beforehand. It's very important. You have to be able to answer these questions that you're showing here. Competitive analysis. Is there anything else out there? You got to document this, because if you want to start this yourself, or you want to try to get someone else to sell it for you, you got to be able to show them,
Yeah, it's documentation is it's a great point.
Yes, you got to tell them how big the market is. Very important. This is, what's the opportunity here? Yeah. You got to, there's research you can do. The government keeps statistics on market sizes for every industry. You should be able to know those things, and it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're also going to be spending a lot of money in research and development even before you can think about making money. So understanding your end goal here and what that market size is extremely important. So one more thing within the research phase is IP and patent research. You can go online to the USPTO.com. It's the United States Patent Office, where it is public knowledge. Any patent that is registered is open to the public to find. So you can go in there and look at anything involved in your product idea category and see if something is already taken in that space, right? Because it's a non-starter if there is a utility patent covering the thing that you need to happen. So that brings me into the two separate patent categories and types that are most applicable to product design and engineering. One is the utility patent, one is the design patent. Essentially, the utility patent is patenting the entire process around the product itself, right? This thing functions with the pump here on the right. You'll see figure 3 here is a patent drawing, an official patent drawing, which highlights each component within this pump system. A utility patent, first off, covers every single component inside of that. Like if you look at 188, some sort of filter or strainer disc, right? The way that functions and what that's doing is highlighted in the utility patent. The functions around it, what it's doing, the pump action, where it lives, everything that surrounds this product interaction is covered in the utility patent. Patent attorneys are really good at formulating language around covering every aspect of the product so that nobody else can say, hey, you didn't mention that it could be used in this and X and Y, Z scenario. So we're able to design for that. It's kind of a game within the patent world. And design patents are patents that cover specifically just the actual design of the product, right? If you have this phone stand here, right, this, it has a large base, it has a neck, and then it has a universal hinge and a pivoting point, plus the clasp here. That is the design of it, right? It's not covering this, is meant to expand and, it can, whatever the example is, right? The story behind the product, right? So I can go ahead and change the neck size if it's just a design patent, and that, that changes the actual patent, and you're able to go that route. Okay. Next comes the.
1 second, if I could just, before we move on from the patent, just if you could ballpark for people patents, what is the, okay, obviously the more complex your product is, the more the patent will cost, but just so people will understand the cost of patents.
Yeah, like anything else, I mean, there's always ways to do things yourself. You can post your own patent on straight onto the U.S. Patent Office. I mean, they have to approve it, right? So that means you're going to have drawings for your patent. You can hire a freelancer to do patent drawings, but you're going to need a CAD model of sort that protects that. Those design patents are generally, $2,000, between $2,000 and $3,000 around that to file and to have in there. Utility patents can range anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, depends on the complexity of the product itself. So generally,
and then there's a provisional patent. If you could explain that.
Correct. So provisional patent is a temporary hold on your patent for 1 year. Which is a smart thing to do sometimes if you're trying to test the market first. If you're an entrepreneur and you're just wanting to test this thing out, and you're not like, this is my entire business, you're able to kind of take a little bit of that initial investment down with the utility patent. But again, you will need with a provisional patent. But you will need to have your patent, your product drawings and all of that. It essentially holds your place in the patent office for 1 year. I think, that's, in the single-digit thousands as opposed to the double digits and so on.
Okay, now, just the last question on this subject for you, because this, I know, to patent or not to patent, sometimes costs enough money, maybe just get the product out there and start selling it instead of spending all your money on the patent and then maybe not selling anything. Yeah. What's your comments on that?
Yeah, like anything else. I mean, if you're not super worried of getting copied, right? If you think that you're going to be the earliest pioneer and you can get this out quickly and make, all that money within the year, and it's going to take somebody else, a couple months to develop this or copy it or get it out there. Again, you don't have to patent it. People can still copy you if you have a patent. That means you have to go after them, right? And you have to sue them and make sure that they take it down. So it's a process and a game. I think it's just a personal decision on if you want to be completely protected, right? At the end of the day, if somebody copies you, you have the right, and you will win because you have the patent. It's just a road that you have to go down. So if you're looking to make the quickest, turnaround on this, it may not be worth it for you to do a utility patent, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't suggest that. I think it's a personal decision.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay, so we'll jump into concept generation. Once you have your idea and your research done, you can start doing your initial idea formulation. We do this in rough sketches. That allows us to get multiple ideas out within that space, right? If you have an idea for a pot, a pot cover that it lays flat when it's not in use, or it pops up when when you're using it. It's a storage space. Is a space storage, saving pots and pot lids. What are some form factors that work that way? What kind of pot lid are you designing for? How does that look? essentially. This is when you're starting to really realize how this product can look and function on an initial phase, right? So this starts with writing down the brief, like how might we's are really good to use within this phase. It's like how might we, X, Y, and Z. How might we solve for, space saving? How might we, fill in the blank there. This is a really fun process personally for me. I love sketching. It's just a good way to get your idea out. No sketch is a bad sketch. It's really actually great to communicate ideas very quickly. And I think you can get out a lot that way. Okay, then it brings us into prototyping, right? So once you have that idea formulated and it's kind of looking like something on paper, you're like, I want it to, be oval and I need it to function this way. And like, we're thinking it has a crank here, or we're thinking that, the handle looks like this, it's curved. Or, you're able to sketch that out quickly. And you would, hire somebody to do some 3D work at that point. So in 3D, you're really getting into details of how the product itself functions, right? What are the parts that have to go together? Is there hardware that has to be incorporated to make this thing work? Moving, from Sketch to CAD allows you to do rapid prototyping, which is, FDM printing or SLA printing, laser cutting, CNCing, things like that can work straight off of CAD files. That can be done locally at a fabrication house. Before you even go to manufacturers, right? We're leaving the manufacturing talk to the last bit, just so you're not giving the design over to anybody else prematurely. And you're trying to mitigate, essentially, this entire process is trying to mitigate as many errors as you can before it brings product to market or get manufacturing quotes. Manufacturers generally, they'll take and create it somehow, or they'll give you feedback, which then needs to just be circulated. If they're willing to do the work for you, you might get lucky, but again, they're always looking for that order quantity. So just keep that in mind as well. We create functional prototypes that allow hands-on testing and refinement before moving into full-scale production. We're really able to see the product and feel the product at this phase. And we learn a lot from it, right? What does that radius actually feel like? If it's on CAD at one point, it looks nice, but that, maybe too thick, too thin. Tolerances for manufacturing are really important to be testing for, and efficiency.
Let me ask you something for the people that are very scrappy entrepreneurs on very low budgets, because obviously the ultimate is to have like a design firm and to do this process, because there's so many details that if people are new, they don't know. But if somebody just has an idea and they want to sketch it out and make a prototype, is there like a place they could go, like a maker space? Is there places where they could just, in other words, do that part of it without engaging in the entire process?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, totally. There's always places to go that will prototype things, right? Generally to prototype, you need to have a CAD model. You could get your CAD model done by a freelancer if you send them a sketch and understand the brief, right? Give it to them and say, hey, we need a 3D CAD of this exact thing. They could send that back to you. You can go then and take that 3D file and go to a company like Xometry. If you look up xometry.com, they have prototypes that there's no minimum order quantity. You can get 3D prints at all different qualities and finishes. They're not super cheap, but they're pretty cheap. I mean, for a single one-off piece, you can go there and get that done. We take on clients at this level also, right? If you just want to do a development of something that you have already started, we can help you out with that. If you want to develop it already, or you just want manufacturing, like, we will work with clients at different levels. Obviously, it's great when we get to start at the beginning, but again, it's a design process is very iterative. And if you're in a rush, there's very quick ways to do it. If you're not in a rush, very slow ways to do it. Cool. So then we're going into design for manufacturing. It's very important that files are communicated and communicate in the design really well. This is where tolerances and material callouts are, and color, material, finish, things like that. Generally, these are what kind of industry manufacturing drawings look like. You could send these to a manufacturer and they're able to understand them right away. There's parting lines and so on and so forth. Okay, this is, we use a lot of our integrated manufacturing. Again, you can do this on your own. Places like Alibaba, I would suggest reaching out to a number of manufacturers, and never leave your eggs in one basket, as you know the saying goes. You want quantity here, and you really want to look out for response time and questions back about the design. I think that's a really important key element to look for when you're just sourcing manufacturers that you have no relationship with. You want to know that they understand the design, are asking questions about it, and giving suggestions on potentially fixing some parts in it. Always good signs for manufacturing. And then you want to get a sample from them before obviously committing to a full run. And then, this brings you to the manufacturing sample. These are, if the manufacturing sample comes in really well, you pretty much have a good, you can feel right about them. Again, quality control is also really important, which is why you want to go to trusted manufacturing facilities. Quality control can be overlooked. And then, right, you order 1,000, 5,000 pieces, and 300 of them have issues because they weren't checked before they were sent to you. It's a costly mistake. So quality control, there are third parties that can go in and work with manufacturers on quality control.
Before you jump, I just want to say one thing that wasn't mentioned. A lot of the stuff you're showing is very mechanical or very simple. If you have an idea that's an electrical idea, there's another layer of complexity. You have to bring in an additional engineer to design the electrical part of it. It makes it much more sophisticated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we work dominantly within the non-electrical space, although we have spoken to some clients about that, and we would bring in an electrical engineer for products, that need that. But totally, it's a completely separate development phase, right? Industrial design is like, how do we make that thing pretty? How do we make it work well? How do we think about the ergonomics of it? The end user's interactions with it, and then the internals or the electronics that are, making this product work and function well. We're able to case design that. So this is a great question. And I think that's it. I mean, design thinking is just it's I can't speak about it enough. I think IDEO, if you guys want to look into it, is IDEO.org. It's one of the oldest kind of design firms, and they pioneered that term, design thinking, and it's really about understanding the entire picture before the thing itself, and generally that it lines you up for success a little bit better. Empathy, ideation, define, prototype, and testing. It's that circular process of getting this thing really right. There's some products that are out in the market, some industries we work in. This is not a pitch, but home products, baby products, display stuff, all sorts of things. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions along the way. It could be daunting, but it's definitely very doable. And I think just think about the budget you want to have in mind. And I think that is always a good starting point. So things don't snowball too much. Like, this is what you have for it, but you need to allocate that amount. It's not just how much is this, how much is this, how much is this. What do you have for that? And then you're able to get answers based off of that a lot easier. So thank you very much.
Yes, I would just add one comment, and then you could comment on my comment, and that is that there are two types of inventors. There's companies that exist, and they come up within they see a void in the space they operate in. Obviously, that they're coming with an existing business, and they already know the market, and there's other people that they have this invention, they have this creative idea that they have, and it's in a certain void, and I just want to point out that it does exist, and it is possible to invent an idea, patent it, and then sell it. You don't have to necessarily go down the whole journey of building the business. If you test the idea and then patent it, you could look for companies that would sell it for you, or you could sometimes sell it to a company.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do the entire journey on your own.
Totally. I think that's also another really great point. You do not have to go into the e-commerce side of it. I mean, if you have a connection within a company, that's always the best way to get eyes on the product. And essentially that's licensing it out or selling it completely. But companies, just for this specific instance, they will want to know that this is patented, and they can buy that patent as well. Big companies won't take on a product with risk of being copied or not being able to protect that idea. So just very important to have a patent on what you're trying to license.
All right. This has been an awesome presentation. Thank you very much. It's a perfect primer, and we're going to add this to our library of videos. Thank you everyone for watching, and looking forward to staying in touch. As always, if you have any questions about your business, you can reach out to us and we can hook you up with a mentor, chy.info. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much, Shneur.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Take care.